Expressed on all radio and television shows broadcast on EC Media Group, LLC, are entirely those of the hosts, guests, and callers, who are entirely responsible for all show content, and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of EC Media Group, LLC, or its staff. These broadcasts are presented and made public as entertainment, in the hope that they will be entertaining to the audience. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or mitigate in any way any disease or condition, or to promote any specific lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice, nor is the information presented deemed to be accurate or verifiable.
Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, beautiful humans. Hope you're all having such a nice day in a really wonderful weather day today here in New York. Yinaudi here, your host for your favorite podcast, The Good Human Chronicles. I am so excited for today's episode. I know I say that every time, but I really am always excited for every episode because I love our guests and the knowledge that they drop on us, the wisdom. So peace to you, Lotus. Hello, and thank you to my audience who is always with us. And the new members, if you are listening and watching for the first time, you are in for a treat. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you subscribe to our channel on YouTube and help us grow. We want to get bigger and bigger and bigger every single time. So please help us with that. Today's episode, I'm going to start it off with a quote that really stood out to me as I was thinking of how do I begin Todd's episode? What feels right? What do I identify with? Because the quotes, the things that I look for, I have to feel. And I got to tell you that the second I saw this, bam, it connected. In a world where you can be anything, be yourself. In a world where you can be anything, be yourself. And I know that we've heard this before, and I know that many people have used different ideations of it, and it's not something new. But I wanted to know, where did this come from? Who was credited for saying it? And I learned a little bit about an incredible 16-year-old by the name of Etta Turner. So Etta Turner is the 16-year-old that is credited for saying this. And she is from Washington, was from Washington State, and passed away in 2022 in Bolivia while she was away at a 1-year volunteerism retreat. And there is a really awesome foundation that is called Etta Works. And it's all about giving back and eradicating poverty in low-income countries like Bolivia. Because at the age of 16, young Etta Turner knew that she had a purpose in life. And at the young age of 16, she understood the complexities of identity and being yourself and how important it is to be yourself. And I got to tell you that that is incredible. That is a gift because many of us struggle with our identities, sometimes lifelong, right? Being comfortable in our own body and our own skin is something that takes work, is something that changes too. Who I am now in my 40s is not the same woman I was in my 30s or my 20s or my teen years. And I think a lot of you can really kind of, that message can resonate with you based on what are you going through in your life, right? And I am excited for today's guest because he's going to talk to us about his journey and his identity and some of the things that he's gone through within his life changes from moving, whether it's, physical space or profession or career, etc. But that, all of it, shapes our identities. So, Etta Turner, wherever you are in the universe, thank you for giving us those words of wisdom, and for that short life you lived, girl. That purpose, it continues. You left a legacy. You certainly did. Want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, Hudson Valley Kitchen Center. Hudson Valley Kitchen Center is an incredible kitchen design center, an incredible team here in Orange County, and they do work all throughout the state and beyond, whether it's kitchen, whether it's bathroom, house remodeling. They are a design company that do really incredible work. So check them out at hvkitchendesignCenter.com or HV Kitchen Design Center on Facebook or Instagram. So shout out to our beautiful sponsors, and thank you for always supporting the work of the Good Human Chronicles. So let's learn a little bit about our good human today. Todd Hulet, who is currently serving as the executive director for the Orange County Arts Council, the Orange County, New York Arts Council. He promotes and cultivates arts and creative practice throughout our community and the surrounding region. Before this, he was the head of entertainment at Legoland, New York, where he developed 18 original shows, remounted 10 more, designed the Brick or Treat, Red, White, and Boom, and holiday events, created 12 unique product activation activities. If you've ever been to Legoland, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Produced the park's grand opening ceremony and originated the concept of Legoland Sleepover Series. Super fun, Todd, super fun. He is a playwright, a composer, and he has worked with legends, including Carole King, Tear for Fears, and he has completed, folks, 11 musicals, 1 full-length play, and dozens of original songs. To hear him play the piano is actually quite magical. He is a proud member of the Dramatist Guild and serves on the board of directors for TYA USA, the National Organization for Professional Theater for Young People. Wow, Todd. Wow. Todd, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you on, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's really good to be here, and I'm excited for this.
Every time I read your bio or I look at it, I'm like, is this the Todd Hulet that I know? I mean, what? He produced what? He did who?
Yeah, I mean, that's the quick one. I've had a really great career and really, really grateful for so many opportunities.
I love it. I love it. So the first thing we get to talk about is, who is Todd Hulet? I mean, we read a bio. I read that professional piece, but who is Todd in your words?
Yeah, I mean, Todd is the executive director of the Orange County Arts Council, but really, if we want to get further into it, I don't know that I can. Like, I'm a lot of things, and it's hard to share, especially straight out of the gate like this, who I am inside. I mean, that's tough.
So then let's set it up for our listeners and our viewers who are already sending you love. Hey, Brittany.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Yes, people are saying how impressive you are. We've got Christopher saying how excited he is to be here. Thank you, everyone, for that love and support. So let's start then at the beginning and tell us your story. What led you to where you are today? Give us that brief overview.
Sure. Okay. The brief overview. I was born and raised in Southern California. I'm a Californian, and I as much as I have lived in New York now for 12 years and do consider myself a New Yorker, I'm also always going to be a Californian. I was raised in a large family. I have 4 siblings, and I was raised in a very religious Mormon household.
Wow.
I was fortunate to really have a great childhood with family and parents who showed a lot of love and support. But also, we're here already. Sorry.
Here we are. Don't be sorry. Don't you ever apologize for crying in front of me.
As a closeted gay man or closeted gay teen, didn't know what to do or how to navigate. I knew that I had a lot of love from my family, but I also knew that the world that was presented to me, the understanding, the belief systems, all of that didn't make sense.
Didn't connect with who you knew you were.
Yeah, didn't connect with a huge portion of me. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of teachings and practice from the Mormon religion that I did actually really identify with, right? There's a lot about family, humanity, love.
Because both things can be true, right?
Absolutely. And so I actually really dove in deep for trying to figure out how to make that make sense, because that was the world I lived in. So I actually spent a significant portion then of my life really trying to pray the gay away, as some people say. I did serve a mission for the LDS Church. It was an awful experience for many reasons, including the fact that I think I had leadership where I was on my mission that really dug into some of the negativity that surrounded my identity and surrounded really the things that I struggled with. And also, I will say, the other thing was that as a young person, I pride myself in being able to get along with a lot of people, right? I have a good ability to see people's various paradigms. I'm a big believer that we can't possibly know everyone's paradigm. And therefore, we have to give a lot of grace for that. And so for that reason, I also got paired with a lot of folks that were struggling themselves, and then I had to deal with their trauma as well. So it was a really tough 2 years. To back up a little bit, I did move out from California as soon as I turned 18. I moved all over the country. And one of those.
What were you looking for when you're out there moving? Were you looking for yourself? Were you looking for opportunity or a space to be?
Yeah, a space to be. I didn't know who I was. And so a lot of it is just moving around to try and find a place where the multifacets of my identity all could make sense together. And I didn't really find that for a long time. And it was in large part because I needed to come out. I needed to live my authenticity as a gay man, and I needed to figure out how to do that. So I lived in Idaho. I lived in, where else did I live? I lived in Idaho, Nebraska, Michigan. I was in California for a little bit, and then ended up in Arizona. And actually, at the time, I was studying architecture. I was an architecture major in school. I know. And
you were really looking, huh?
I was. Yeah. And so I ended up actually going to Arizona State, in part because where I was in Idaho, I realized that it wasn't working for me. I couldn't stay there because I was really unhappy. And so I decided to transfer schools and looked for places that I could go last minute that were still accepting architecture students and that I could get into. So that's really the reason I ended up in Phoenix at Arizona State. And I don't really tell people often that I went to Arizona State, mostly because I don't know that Arizona State was the place that really gave me the platform. There's a lot of great people at Arizona State, and I don't mean to speak ill of it, but it wasn't set up for someone like me. And therefore, I didn't really get much out of that education. And so when I graduated from there, it all was about the same time that I ended up coming out to my family. I met my now ex-husband, who it became clear that if I was going to be in the relationship, this was before we got married, if I was going to be in that relationship, that I needed to be honest with my family.
Yeah. God, that must have been so hard.
Yeah, and I ended up coming out to them, and then didn't talk to them for 4 years. Which was tough.
Yeah.
Because they had been such a supportive group of people. They had, and while I didn't live near them, like I always felt loved by them. So to have to go from that. And then there was this big chunk of me that also had to figure out all of the stuff that came with my childhood that I still believed in.
Right.
And how that could translate, or how that still resonates. Like, what does that mean? Because if I'm going to not be Mormon, but I still believe in faith, and I still believe in spirituality, and I still believe in what I used to call prayer. I don't call it prayer anymore because I've had to find ways to bridge the gaps between the definitions that my childhood gave me and the definitions of what my actual identity and authenticity gave me. So things like prayer became meditation. Things like faith became new. I believe in reclaiming words from people who have taken them, and religion often takes a lot of words.
Yeah.
Blessing is something that I wish we could use more that didn't have so much religious connotation, because I am a blessed human. I have so much to be grateful for that I have been blessed with. And that comes both from what I believe to be the universe of spirituality that isn't defined by religion, but it also comes from blessings from people. It comes from the blessings of my childhood, the blessings of my
community
family now, my community, my friends. Like, they bless me as well, and I wish that was a word that we could recapture.
I wish you could see all the blessings you're getting on chat right now, because you are getting lots of hearts. You are getting lots of love and support, because it takes strength. It takes so much valor to be here and be honest and vulnerable. And this entire time, I've been sitting here thinking about that young person who eventually will make it to watch this show and this episode, and what they're going to hear in your journey, and what they're going to hear about the roads that you took and where they took you, and how incredible it is where you are today, but where you come from and the challenges. So you are going through coming out to your family, losing your family. So now you're mourning, because there's a mourning period, right? At the same time that it sounds like you're about to get engaged, at the same time it sounds like you're graduating college, you know, where one person without all these other things is just focused on like, how am I going to pay the bills? What am I going to do with my life? I'm an adult now, and I'm, you know, all these things. Holy moly.
Yeah, well, and true fashion to myself, I moved.
Yeah, we did it.
I moved to Washington State, lived in Seattle. It was wonderful. I love Seattle, Washington. If you have not been, please go visit. It is one of my favorite places, certainly in the country. And living there was really great. I started my career. I was in theater education. I was set designing. I was music directing. And I started this career writing musicals. This image here, I started a performing arts academy out there. And this was actually taken at our very last concert after I had announced that I was leaving. And all of these kids, I mean, you can see maybe 20 here, but there was a group of over 50 students who just came up onto the stage and surrounded me with so much love. It was really wonderful. And, you know, this time,
I can see it in your face. I can see the love in your face.
And my tan and my, and it was really wonderful. I mean, at this point too, I was just getting started. So my career was just really starting. Music education, theater education were a huge part of it, but also having the opportunity to start writing professionally. And at the same time was when I actually got my first professional writing, which then allowed me to join the Dramatist Guild. That's how you say it. The Dramatist Guild of America.
Thank you.
Yeah, which is the professional organization to represent independent theater writers. And at that same time, my ex-husband decided to leave. He came. It was a long story, but the short version of it is that he had decided to find someone else and moved on, and lied about it a ton. And the thing that I'm most grateful for, though, was in that moment, I called my mom. She was one of the first people I called.
And this is after the 4 years?
Yeah. And I remember saying to her, I can't have the conversation that I know you want to have right now, because I'm hurting and I just need my mom. And she was there for me. In fact, she got on a plane and came to visit. Which again, I have to, like, as hard as things have been and as tough as they continue to be with my family, I know my family loves me, and I am so grateful and blessed again to have that.
Yeah.
So really grateful. And I'm sorry, I keep looking away from the screen because I can see myself crying. I don't like that look. So.
Don't be sorry. I have ADHD, and if I need to look at the screen, drives the producer crazy.
Yeah,
like, look at the screen. I'm like, I can't.
Yeah, well. But anyway, I was able to reconnect with my family. I also decided that I couldn't stay in Seattle. I ended up leaving behind a really, what's the word, blooming career, I suppose, and then moved across the country to New York City. As this now professional theater writer, I was like, if there's anywhere I've got to go to New York so that I can find some new opportunity to write.
It's where all the people looking for these things come.
That's right. So I moved to New York City. I was one of those 2 bags, and you know, I flew on an airplane, sold everything I had, sold my car, and moved across the country with what I could fit in an airplane suitcase. And it was a huge, and honestly, I loved every minute of it. The adventure of it all. I knew very few
couch surfing?
I did. I couch surfed for a little bit, and then found a permanent place to live. And it wasn't long before I met Rick, who then changed my life all over again. Because I had really been hurt and really been, trying to figure out who I was all over, because I thought that the person that I was, this gay man who found a husband and had a life and starting this career. And then I had to learn how to be okay with some of that changing. And, I will say one of the biggest things is before I met Rick, I was very anti-pets. I was raised in a family that we did not have pets.
What?
Yeah. So
I've met your dogs.
I know.
I've met your babies.
My babies. That's true.
Right.
So Rick and I met in New York City. We met through OkCupid, actually. And some other day I'll share the whole story about that.
Maybe I'm on the wrong sites.
I mean, this was more than 10 years ago now. So
dang it, I missed it.
Yeah, I don't know that OkCupid is the place anymore, but
I don't think so.
We actually spent a really long time trying to connect, and it never did. In fact, at one point he reached out. This is such a great story that I'll share for another time, but he had reached out when I had started seeing someone else, and I was like, I'm sorry, I can't. I don't believe in trying to date 2 people at once. I'm gonna. And then a week later, I realized that was a bad idea. And so then I called him back and I was like, hey, you want to go on a date? And he said, no, you just turned me down.
Oh my God.
So we had quite the back and forth for a long time before we actually finally went on a date, more than 10 years ago now. And he then immediately went and got a dog. He did not have a dog, but he went and got Tucker. And he will be the first to tell you it was absolutely a test. To see if I would leave or not. I was not a pet person.
Right.
So
I love it. Now, which one is, tell me the name of the pups.
Tucker is the Frenchie there on the right, and Levi, who we got about 4 years later or so, the eagle on the left.
Love it.
So we met in the city, and then my career was taking off as writing musicals. I mostly worked with the TYA, the Theater for Young Audiences community. So that was where I was finding a lot of success. Rick is a professional photographer and creative, mostly in advertising. And so he decided that he wanted to, or that he could only be kind of in 2 locations. It was like at that point in his career, he either needed to be in New York City or he needed to be in Los Angeles. And having lived in Southern California and really identifying as a Californian, we were visiting my parents, and we kind of were driving around by the beach. We should try this. Let's move out here. So we did. We packed up everything. We moved out there. we were there for 6 months, and then we both, luckily, we were on the same page because
we're over it.
What if we were to move back? I know we've only been here for 6 months. So we ended up there for about a year, but then we ended up moving back to New York City and immediately wanted to know where we were going to find our home. Because we knew it wasn't New York. That's why we left to begin with, was to try and find home. And it wasn't California either. So we came back and started doing drives, renting cars and going to see in a 60-mile radius from the city. And there's a little wonderful town, 60 miles exactly from New York City, called Beacon. And when we went to visit,
Beacon, local folks here.
Yeah. So we moved up here. We moved up to Orange County. We moved actually to Dutchess County, to Beacon first. And in the process, I was now unemployed. I had all of the things I was doing in New York City, but one of the great things that I was doing there was actually working for the Department of Education. I was going to all 5 boroughs, and my role was actually to do professional development for non-arts teachers, non-performing arts teachers who wanted to start a performing arts program at their school. It was super amazing because these are passionate teachers who know how to teach, they know what they're doing, but they were usually like chorus teachers or English teachers, PE teachers who just had a passion for performing arts. And they just needed a little bit of help. So we ended up, so I was doing that job, but because it was in all 5 boroughs, in fact, one of my weekly trips was out to Far Rockaway. To go from Beacon to Far Rockaway was not happening. So I quit my job, was unemployed when I moved up here, and stumbled upon a startup, if you will, called Legoland.
We're going to call it a tiny little baby startup.
Well, at the time, I was employee number 3.
Oh my gosh.
There were only 2 other employees, plus the corporate representative who were here, and they did make me feel so welcome, so loved. But I went in there, and at the time, the position was just community relations. So we were going into the community. I went to every single festival in Orange County because we were working on Orange County, and got to know Orange County really deeply there before I even lived here or anything. And also with that job, I told them in my interview that I'm excited to be a part of this because my goal is to be the head of entertainment. So I'm excited to be here on the ground floor.
So you put it out into the universe, and eventually you made it. But wait, Todd, because before you finish that story, you haven't answered one of our main stories. And I need to get into the self-reflection piece. Okay, I need to get into and you haven't answered my first question of, in your words, who is Todd Hulet? And you've got like a minute to answer that.
Yeah. Well, I am a queer person. I'm a husband. I am a friend. I'm an advocate. I'm a human. And I'm a big believer that this world is worth our effort.
Why? Tell us about what motivates you. Why? By the way, you're a good human. You're not just a human, right? You're a good human. Thank you, Stephanie. Stephanie pointed that. She's like, good human. You forgot that important adjective. You give so much of yourself, Todd. And, when we talk about being a good human and the attributes, part of it is public service. Part of it is giving back to the community. But I wonder what motivates you to make that positive impact in our world, in our community, and everywhere you go, because you've moved around. So it's not like you believe in here. No, everywhere you leave roots, everywhere you put roots down, you really do. You're motivated to do good. Where does that come from?
I mean, a lot of it was example. I was raised in a house that was the case. My parents were very giving of themselves, and they still are to this day. My dad actually made a goal to retire super early because he wanted to spend the rest of his life dedicating service. So that was his goal early on in his life, was to make enough money that he could retire early and dedicate more of his time in the service of others. So it certainly was given to me in my childhood that was just something that, and I guess not something that we had to do. Mostly it was just the example of how to do it, right? That sometimes, I also was in a family where, this idea of like volunteering other people, being voluntold, was the norm. And I think that's great, right? Like, I think there's really something wonderful about just knowing that you have a person that you can say, hey, I volunteered you for this. And knowing that they're going to say, okay.
Yeah.
If it needs to be done. And that comes also with knowing that there are times that you get to say no, and like that, I'm not trying to say that you have to do everything. Yes, boundaries are healthy and good. But here locally, one of the things, so I went and had this job, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have worked at Legoland. I have really wonderful things to say about my experience there. It was tough. It was hard. It was a lot of hours, but the work that they're doing and really their deep-seated understanding of why they're doing things is really beautiful, and it was great to be a part of that. But in that role, I had a hard time really getting the community to get on board with that had a hard time finding people who wanted to do that work, who wanted to get a job as a teenager to make kids smile. Like, really, I tried pitching it that way, where we would do interviews and I'd be like, so what we're looking for is someone who wants to just play with kids and make them smile. And we're going to give you all the resources and all the costumes. And
how did that work out?
It didn't, because the message wasn't getting out there that way. And so I started getting involved with organizations. I got involved with the Orange County Arts Council, for one, to try and help me solve that, try and help get the word out. And in the process, I saw the incredible work that the Arts Council was doing. They have been, since 2007, an organization whose goal is to make sure that other people can be successful in their art and creative practice. And they did that for me when I was at Legoland. I said, great, let's figure out how we can help you. And when Sarah McKay, who was the previous executive director, said she was leaving, I got a few nudges to say, hey, have you thought about applying to this? And I laughed, because I was like, why would I do that? I've got a great job, and I like where I am, and I love, and an awesome boss. Shout out to Jan. She's amazing and still doing great work over there. But ultimately what it came down to was I saw an opportunity to have more of an ability to do good.
And tell me, what does that look like, right? Because we hear of the New York, of the Orange County, New York Arts Council. But for folks like me who aren't involved in the arts world and the arts community, I don't necessarily know what it means, right? When I was hashtagging our promos, I hashtag Save the Arts. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. So can you tell us folks who aren't in the creative world, make the connection for us? What good are you doing, and how, and what does it look like? What does your 9 to 5 look like?
Yeah, well, and I will also say this now is the thing that I am very comfortable talking about. I could talk about this.
Yes.
We could do weeks of lectures and weeks of presentations on this.
Oh, no more crying. I like crying, Todd. I don't know.
Please, and get involved. We are doing our membership week right now, and I appreciate being able to do this week. Our membership week is just a drive to try and get more people to join us. We have a free membership option, a pay what you can option, as well as individual and art support services and a circle membership as well. So whatever your level of participation and wherever you are in understanding, if you don't understand arts at all, but you're like,
you mean like
Todd
me?
seems like an interesting guy.
Yeah.
Give us $5, give us $10, do the pay what you can membership, or even the free membership if that's not an option for you. We want you to join our community. We want you to know what's going on and be able to come, so I can actually give like more of this pitch. But I will get back to the question.
Yeah. And we'll actually learn more about Membership Week in a minute too. But awesome. Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, so what the Arts Council does and what I get to spend all of my time doing, which again, blessed. I love that this is my job. This is what I get to spend my every day doing, making sure that other people can be successful in what they want to do with arts. And arts has the ability to impact everybody. Whether you're an artist or not, you see art every day. Your logo just popped up on the screen. Someone designed that logo, and that is an artistic practice. That's a creative practice. We always have arts in our lives. There's no way that you can avoid it. If you watch TV, you're engaging with arts. If you open mail, you're engaging with arts. If you read a book, you're engaging with arts. If you read the newspaper, I mean, all of TikTok is arts. There is arts in everything that we do, and creativity is what drives us as humans to explore and to learn. And if we do it intentionally, then not only is that true, but we also get to create empathy. We get to help one another understand what it is to be human, to experience humanity, to connect with one another. So anything that we can do to help this artistic endeavor and intentional artistic endeavor is going to help all of us, whether you are a member of the Arts Council or not. I hope that you turn to arts. I hope that you get a chance to join us. And really what I do then is just try and remove anything. I spent the first 2 months in my role just meeting with people. I made no changes, no plans for 2 months, because I think it's important for us to listen to what the community wants. And then we pulled away with some of our programming because while they had a purpose at one point, they were competing or they weren't necessary anymore for helping people to engage in their creativity. So we pulled some of our programming away and really tried to pivot some of the other programs that we were doing to make sure that they were actually supporting what people
You were doing what the community wanted, it sounds like.
I'm trying.
Trying,
But one of the things that we also did, if I may, is we set up community committees. If you want to have more of a say in what the Arts Council does, anyone is welcome to join a community committee. We have 5 of them available to you. Reach out. I'll tell you more about it. But we want to continue to hear, and we always assess every year what it is that we're doing so that we don't get in the way and so that we're truly supporting the people who are trying to engage with
I love that. And if I can assume correctly, if you've got community committees, then that means that you've got representative of those communities on those committees. So is the hope that you are representing communities appropriately, the right way, so that everybody's voice is welcomed to the table?
That is always the hope. Are we fully successful at it? No. And honestly, will we ever be? I doubt it, right? I think it's a continual effort you have to put into it.
Yeah.
I do also serve on the Orange County Chamber of Commerce DEAI committee because I think that's a really great place for us to kind of get a sense of what's going on in our county in efforts to bring in and know how we can continue to engage. We do a lot of DEAI efforts ourselves to make sure that we're diversifying, but it's not just that, it's also regional. It's also, it's the reason why we changed our membership program to now have a free membership, because wealth inequality is certainly a huge factor in who we are serving. And we didn't want to be an organization that was looked at as someone who was just serving the already successful people. So we opened up the membership in that way.
I love that. So I have Holly. Hey, Holly, thanks for tuning in, who made an awesome comment. And she says that in times of stress, sadness, and celebration, she turns to the arts. And she also shares, I honestly have no idea where she'd be without the arts, especially music and painting. And I got to tell you that the arts mean so much to so many people. Right. One of the first tattoos that I got was a little music symbol on my finger. And it's honestly because when I was going through my depression, through my divorce, music was it for me. Right. Music was an outlet for me to either A, cry it out even more, or B, get motivated to get up and keep moving. Right. I talk about, sometimes I joke saying I don't have an artistic bone in my body, but it's a lie. I created that logo and I never thought about it as creative. How crazy is that? Todd, until you said there's art everywhere, look at your logo. I'm like, oh, I did that. What?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, really? Thank you.
You practiced creativity.
I do. Thank you, Canva. Because there are ways for us who are not as creative as some others who are incredible. And off the top of their heads can go, right? But I got to tell you that with my neurodivergence, being creative means at 5:30 in the morning, I'm up every day and I need to create. I need to have my hands on that computer and either work on a book I'm writing, or I am creating a new image or a graphic that I want to release out to for the IIJ. So thank you for pointing out that arts is everywhere, because some of us are ignorant enough, and I will be honest and admit it, ignorant, thinking that to have creativeness. To be creative, you have to, know how to paint and color. And like, wait a minute, I'm also an excellent dancer, for the record. Jessie Moore, hey, I'm so upset I said that. I did it.
I know. I was like, note to self, asking later.
Ask later. But yes, being creative, turning to the arts is something so life-saving. And it's something that we look at every day. And I encourage it in my children. So, for example, does writing count as being creative? Because I think we've established it does. So I encourage my daughter to journal every single day, and really just focus on, get it out, get the emotions, get, whatever, tell me about your day and write it, right? So we only have a couple of minutes left, and I want you to have... before we go into, if you want to talk a little bit about membership again, but I want you to give us a minute. And this is a hard one because it's a double question, right? Because we went from this incredible journey of yours, of resilience, of strength, of valor, of just all of it, to then the arts. And I need both. So the first thing is that young person that's out there watching who either wants to be an artist, but the world right now just isn't helping them because the world is not aligned yet. Their universe is not aligned yet. And they need that patience to hold tight, right? To the ones struggling with their identity, whether it's their sexual orientation, whether it's their gender, right? Please leave them with something.
Yeah. It's interesting that you all, art saved my life. I think that is true for many people, but it's usually only said by people who are artists. But I think it's true for more people than actually realize. My connection to my spirituality is music. It was the big thing that in the process of coming out, when I felt like I needed to abandon religion, that I couldn't ever let go of. On one end of the spectrum, there was this sexual orientation identity that was conflicting. But then when I tried to then go that direction too far, music brought me back to the place of understanding that there was something more to this world. And I believe that strongly. I don't think arts makes sense. I think its impact on us doesn't make sense. That there is something in the universe that is driving creativity, and creativity is in many ways my spirituality. So anything we can do to connect with that. I'm so grateful to have a husband who is also very creative. He does something very different than anything I do, but he has brought so much joy to my life. His arts include his photography, sure, but also he puts together our home in such a beautiful way, organizing and decorating.
It is so beautiful.
Yeah, and it is his creativity. It is his art. And I apologize publicly for every time that I just leave crap all over and mess with that. But I'll walk into the house and it's like things are perfectly placed on the counter in such a gorgeous, beautiful way that he has an eye for that creativity. So in many ways, what I would share was continue to explore your creativity and let that take you on a journey to discover yourself.
Todd, I can't thank you enough. Make sure you go to the comments when you're done here, because there are folks who are sending you so much love, and there are folks who are asking questions about you and want to know more about you. So sending you all my love. Thank you for being a guest. I can't wait to chat with you later.
Thank you so much. Yes, and please do go check out the membership week. We have special offers. It's through Saturday. ocartscouncil.org. You can also just send us an email, info@ocartscouncil.org. Send us the email if you have any questions about how to engage with art. If you want to engage with art, if you don't even know where to start, just send us an email. We'll be happy to reach out.
Beautiful. Thank you, Todd. Again, this was amazing. I want to say thank you to all of the folks who joined us as well here to support me, to support Todd. And to close, I want to leave actually with the same quote that I started. And in a world where you can be anything, be yourself. No matter how long it takes us to find that, but be yourself. So thank you, everyone, and sending you all the love. And hey, this was the last episode of season 1. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't you worry, season 2 will be released later this summer, and there will be a lot of fun things in store.